right, so welcome everybody. We have some fun things to talk about, a little bit of serious things to talk about, but first and foremost, we are here to announce and celebrate Pride Week and also let everyone know about Pride Parade coming up tomorrow. It is going to be a very festive occasion, lots to celebrate and also lots to reflect on. And so let me first acknowledge a couple of organizations that are behind the parade and also a lot of activities in the community. We've got Equality New Mexico here. Give us a wave, Team Equality New Mexico. Thank you. New Mexico AIDS Services, saw them as well. Thank you. Pride Fest, Nabil Coalition, clapping, waving. All right, nice out there too. And our Office of Equity and Inclusion, Michele Melendez and her team, Brittany, and also, of course, our New Mexico Transgender Resource Center. I think I saw them too. All right, thanks for being out here. Now we're going to hear a little bit more from some of these advocate folks and also our city councilor in just a minute. What I want to do is share with you a little bit about both city's approach to LGBTQ issues as well as, of course, Pride Parade tomorrow. Now, let me begin by acknowledging we are here standing in front of and on our Rainbow Crosswalk. And for us, you know, it's Pride Month, it's Pride Week, and it's Pride Parade tomorrow. I also want to acknowledge that we know that this costs a little bit more than a normal sidewalk, but I want to remind folks that it lasts 3 times as long. So net, actually, it should be cost neutral. But this is more than a crosswalk. It is a piece of public art. It is meant to be a fun visual acknowledgement and a celebration of our commitment to inclusion and the LGBTQ community. Now, unfortunately, we saw what happened the other day. And I think in many ways, one, we appreciate that at least no one was hurt, but we also want to acknowledge that the defacement of this Rainbow Crosswalk is a reflection of the hate and the prejudice that still exists here today. The fact that you would put up a Rainbow Crosswalk, something that many cities have, and a day later, because of what it represents, it would be defaced, is part of why it's important to honor the concept of public art that celebrates our LGBT community. And so for us, I also want people to know that APD is investigating that just like every other crime. We appreciate the public's input and do have some good leads, and we will pursue charges as appropriate as we would any other action of that nature. There is no room for that, both in substance and also in what it stands for in this city. Now, Albuquerque, we believe, stands for inclusion. We have for a long time. It's embedded in the diversity that is the foundation of our community. And so here is what the city is doing on our end to honor that commitment and honor that history. Number one, we opened the Office of Equity and Inclusion, which includes a revamped Office of Civil Rights, which actually deals with issues when individuals are discriminated against, including those from the LGBT community. We're also working with our senior partners at SAGE for housing for Pride folks, LGBT community during the senior games. So you're going to be able to visit the SAGE home during senior games. Make sure and check that out. Also, our entire fire department has completed Transgender 101 training. So has the mayor's office, and we're working on eventually getting that throughout City Hall. We've also done safe zone training for our city employees as well. And we're on track to actually have safe zone training for all city departments over the next few years. We've also, with the help of our councilor, established some additional funding for anti-bullying initiatives. And we are also funding the Transgender Resource Center for the first time in our city's history. Now, the city is very proud of these policies and also our own internal policies that we've enhanced. We now give domestic partner benefits, employer-based healthcare coverage for transition-related care, and our procedures and HR processes honor employees' needs and wishes when employees change their name and their gender on employee records. Now, let me, before I hand it off to our city councilor to talk a little bit more about this, I also just want to mention that we are very proud of all things that make us Albuquerque. And I think we often hear and cherish our deep history when it comes to our Native American roots, our Hispanic roots. But I want folks to also understand that inherent in that respect for diversity is respect for inclusion for all our communities that might be seen in some way as different than one another. And that includes our LGBT community. And so we believe part of that concept of One Albuquerque, part of that concept of who we are, is that we welcome the values from people of all walks of life. And as One Albuquerque, we will always stand up for our people, regardless of their own choice in terms of how they want to be identified. So to talk more about our initiatives, I'm going to hand it over to Nob Hill's City Councilor and a champion on these issues, City Councilor Pat Davis.
Mayor, thanks so much. This means an awful lot, and there's an historical significance to this crosswalk being right here. In 1973, the very first Pride happened just down the street at Morningside Park. And those roughly 30 or so people who were brave enough to come out and begin that process here in the city of Albuquerque, a lot of them walked right here across Central, headed to their park for our very first Pride event. And from those initial 30, as Craig and I were talking a minute ago, we've now grown to more than 30,000 people that will line Central here tomorrow to celebrate, to enjoy, to appreciate and celebrate the contributions of LGBTQ and sexual minority communities in Albuquerque. We have come an awful long way since 43 years ago in that very first Pride Parade. The fact that I get to stand here as an openly gay member of the City Council, and that the City of Albuquerque and residents here have voted not just me, but 2 openly gay City Councilors to represent our city, tells us that we've come an awful long way. And yet what we saw, what happened earlier this week, reminds us that we still have a long way to go. And so I want to personally say thank you to our teams at DMD and Solid Waste and APD for stepping up, for recognizing that challenge. We hear too often in our city sometimes that things happen, crimes happen in our neighborhoods that people don't want to tell the police about or participate in. But in this case, that was never the case. We had dozens of people stepping up to call the police, to share those videos, to hold those folks accountable. And it says an awful lot that those folks were scared enough who wanted to deface this public property and this public art. They were scared enough to leave, but the community was brave enough to step up. And these stripes and these colors and this representation and all it stands for still stands here long after those folks and their hateful act the other day. And it says an awful lot about where we've come and where we're going. And so I couldn't be more proud to stand here on the eve of our Pride Parade tomorrow in Pride Month and say thank you to our mayor, who made equity and inclusion a priority from the campaign trail, from day one, from doing that, and for including LGBTQ folks in that conversation. As leaders in appointed positions in our city, as elected officials, as people who are participating and have the opportunity now to change the dynamic in the way we see each other. I couldn't be more proud of our city, and this is a great representation and a way to do that. I want to personally say thanks to the mayor who made this an initiative of his own to be sure that we could do this for Pride. It says an awful lot to a lot of us who feel often that, for a lot of years, there are a lot of people in our community who felt like they couldn't be out every day, who couldn't feel welcome in every corner of their city. And instead, we're not just telling them they can, but we're laying it down permanently and inviting them and sharing in their experience with the rest of our city. And I couldn't be more proud to be a part of a city that does that. So thank you, Mayor. I'm really grateful.
Thanks. Thank you so much for all your leadership and commitment to the city and to this neighborhood and this community. I also want to acknowledge we're going to have one of our staff directors share a few words with you. And before I mention her, I know our counselor was wonderful in just mentioning all the Albuquerque departments that really are behind both the parade, the month, and also even this crosswalk. And they are here too. I just want to mention environmental health also, and of course our director for DMD. Great work on this, Pat. We really wanted to get it done, and you made it happen, as well as your team. And also Solid Waste is here, which did a great job cleaning it up. And so excellent work too from our Solid Waste department. Okay, but the department who champions all of these policies, who is driving a equity and inclusion agenda throughout City Hall and throughout our community, the first director of that office, I want to let her share a few words, and we're so grateful to have her leadership, Michele Melendez.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. My name is Michele Melendez, the Director of the Office of Equity and Inclusion, and I go by the preferred pronouns of she, her, and hers. And I want to just also be very, very thankful for this public statement of our values. And what it means behind it is our public commitment to uphold the rights of all people. And that means transgender people cannot be denied access to the use of gendered facilities in our city or anywhere else in the state. We're also working to expand protections in our own city's human rights ordinance to specifically and explicitly include gender identity and sexual orientation. And not only protecting human rights and civil rights, but the proactive inclusion work that we do in the city of Albuquerque in terms of who we hire and who we do business with. And our fight for LGBTQ plus rights is very much local. We know and we see what's happening at the federal level and at the state level, but there's nothing more important than our own practice as a city employer to own up to our own responsibilities as an equal opportunity employer. And so we've got these policies that the mayor mentioned, and I had the opportunity and the privilege of being able to talk to new city employees, nearly 600 of them over the past 2 weeks, and really express to them our values of inclusion. And I was filled with pride at my being able to stand up and state emphatically to our new city employees, including summer youth employees, that we stand for all people and we include all people in what we mean in our values, and that we normalize the practice of using preferred pronouns, and we make it normal that people can ask for assistance at work. And we, in our coverage of city employee benefits, we cover transition-related care in our health benefits. These are all things that demonstrate our values as a city. And on this Pride Day, I want to say, as a native Burqueña, I don't care what the haters say. I love Burque, and I love it because of all of us, because the people I see at Pride are the same ones that stand up for immigrant rights, stand up for Native American rights, human rights, disability rights, women's rights, and rights for all people. And I am proud to be able to say that we stand together. Thank you very much.
Okay, and now to hear a little bit of advocacy and community perspective, I want to bring up Danny Kessler from Equality New Mexico. All right, Danny. Nice pin.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for being here, everyone. My speech is on my phone, so I'll be looking at that. Okay. So, yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Danny Kessler, and I serve as a program coordinator for Equality New Mexico. And I'm here today on behalf of our executive director, Adrian Carver, and the board of directors. I'd like to start off by asking everyone to take a moment of silence for the friends and family that we have lost in New Mexico and around the world to senseless violence, hate, and bigotry. I'm honored to be here to join Mayor Keller and city officials and all of our partners and allies this morning as we kick off Pride Month and commemorate the Pride Crosswalk here at Central and Morningside. EQ&M is New Mexico's oldest and largest LGBTQ advocacy organization, and we have been fighting for equality for 25 years because in New Mexico we value trans and queer identities. There would not be a Pride Month without those who came before us. The fierce trans women of color who were and have remained on the front lines of this fight for our lives. Many of them losing their lives in that fight. Pride is something to celebrate, but more so, it is a time to honor those that have worked so hard to bring us to where we are today. And crosswalks are important, and rainbow crosswalks have their place. But what is more important is recognizing what has been lost on the road to equality. We appreciate the city of Albuquerque for this symbolic gesture, and we remain committed and will remain committed to working with Mayor Keller and the administration to assure that LGBTQ Burqueños and all New Mexicans feel safe, valued, and have the same basic human rights as everyone else. As such, we will continue to advocate for an LGBTQ liaison in both the mayor's office and at APD. Thank you, everyone, and happy Pride.
Okay, so with that, we have a special performance in store for those attending and those tuning in. We're going to have a song by Sina Soul Queen.
I'm right here.
All right.
I'm right behind you.
Awesome.
How are you? It's nice to see you.
Good to see you. I love
Thanks
your-
so much. My Wonder Woman bracelet?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I want to thank Adrian Carver and Danny Kessler from EQ New Mexico for having me here. And this is so exciting. So I'm going to be singing a cappella, and I would like to have my sister Sarah bring Toto. Yay! Hi, this is actually Petunia. Thank you, honey. So, Party City next time will come through with a Dorothy costume, but for right now, it's a Wonder Woman Dorothy fusion, okay? All right. So, let's go. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a crosswalk I heard of at Central and Morningside. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow, and so can you and I. One day I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, why can't I? Yes. Thank you.
Stand with us up
Okay.
Play that down.
Yeah.
You want to count us down?
Ooh, nice.
All right, ready?
And I'll be counting down to 0, the first number. Thank you so much, Mayor Kelly, for dedicating this crosswalk.
Come on in, guys. Everybody,
All right.
grab a part of it. TV ready?
DMD.
I'm moving back here.
Just grab something.
Is that okay?
Grab some brass.
Is that good?
Yeah. Okay, count.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.